Greetings. Welcome to this episode of Healing
Very good,
Courageously.
honey. That was nice. That was
She's working
beautiful.
hard on me not get that healing courageously,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
being a little more, I guess, professional.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
That's a
Is
good
that a good way to
example.
put
Yeah,
it?
that's a good way to put
So,
it.
we're here today and we got two special guests, Randy and Cathy.
Are we
on
that
the,
special?
yeah, we're special,
Awesome.
and we're here closing out the month of February with Persevering Love. We've had
We've had
patient
patient
love,
love,
we've had practical love,
mhm,
and we've had
pursuing
pursuing
love.
love, right? And now we're going to close it out with persevering love,
Yeah, so we're closing out the whole month of February. We came up with this 4 P's of love and
right?
invited
Right.
guests and mentees of ours, families that we have been journeying with and mentoring with for
Yep.
the last several years.
Yep.
So we thought, what a great opportunity to bring them in, give them a topic, and see them run with it. And it just kind of made me really proud of how much growth is
Yeah.
in them.
Yeah.
And it was funny because I think it was Alicia had made a comment through social media of how much they have grown, and they could see that in that. And then they were like listening to Albert and Lauren share, and they were like, "Oh, they sound like us." And then she realized, well, they sound like us because we've all been mentored
Right.
together
Right.
as
Right.
a big family. So
Right.
it was kind of
Exactly.
special to see the relationships and how they've blossomed and they've grown in that.
And they've all brought something special, with the patient love from Alyssa and Jared, and
Yeah.
what they're going through with the blended family. In
Hmm.
fact, all
All
three of
three of
our
them,
couples all have blended,
as are we.
and we are too.
Yeah.
Danny was such a part of our life that we never really looked at it as a blended
Mm-mm.
family, and then suddenly it kind of hit us one day that, wait a minute, we're a
We are
blended
a
family
blended
too.
family.
So they also brought something special. Tickling my nose. They all brought something special to
Yeah.
these episodes, and we're really grateful for them.
Yeah.
And we're grateful for their lives because we've watched them all just blossom.
Yeah.
Right,
Been
so,
very special
but
to watch and be part of.
excuse me, Kathy and I, we do have, for those of you that don't know us very well, we do have quite a story ourselves.
As most people
As
do.
most people,
We're
everybody's
just
got a
willing to be
story.
vulnerable and spit it out there.
Yeah, absolutely. We're very vulnerable and put it out there. We talk openly, because we feel that's what has to be done. We have to be transparent and vulnerable. It gives other people, the opportunity to be able to feel safe enough, especially in our presence. And then we hope as they go into life, they find the right people. But to be able to be open, vulnerable, and transparent, especially if they're a married couple.
Yeah.
It's so critical in that relationship that they can be that way. As in our own relationship, before I even proposed to you, I think I told you, the first person I ever told about my abuse story.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of persevering that's happened in our relationship prior to being married.
Yeah.
And then all the way through our marriage.
Yeah, you said something about persevering, requiring us to be vulnerable with for others to feel safe. But honestly, I love that as well. But one thing that I think was helpful to me in my journey is being vulnerable myself allowed my healing to take place.
Yes.
And I had a conversation with somebody not just a couple days ago on how different it is in different small groups and life groups and things, and how she misses that transparency and vulnerability. But I reminded her that her growth is now going to give her that opportunity to show that to others. That I didn't just have it, you didn't just have it. We had to work in that process of being transparent and vulnerable. And that's part of persevering in any relationship, even if it's in a relationship with self.
Yeah, and it's when I look back on my journey of recovery, and I was one that I couldn't talk real clear because I was always afraid. I was stuttering a lot, but more than that, I didn't want to be called on in high school. I was always hiding behind something. Don't talk to me, and I didn't want to be the center of attention, but yet I wanted to be the center of attention, and in different ways. But then all of a sudden, I can remember when I was going to my AA meetings that I was sitting at the front row. I was sitting at the front table where everybody could see me, and I was speaking openly about everything that had happened to me, which I'd never been able to do until I got into recovery, right? Which it was like sometimes it's like God says, or like the runes say, sometimes quickly, sometimes slowly,
Mhm.
right? And for me, everything happened very quickly, right? And to this day, I still look back. I don't understand.
Mhm.
Yeah,
That's all God. All God.
yeah. I mean, it's like there's a guy that I watch on Facebook that this poor guy. It's not even worth saying anything to him in a loving way because he is so stuck um, in its victim mode from people that have hurt him in the past,
Yeah.
and it's sad to see, you know.
Especially when you know that
Yeah,
there's help out there and there's
yeah,
healing available. But
exactly,
again, everybody has to get to their bottom. Everybody has to
exactly.
get to their place of I'm tired and I'm done and I'm ready.
And speaking of bottoms, that's a
Mm,
great segue.
thank you.
My emotional bottom, my very bottom. Right? Everybody has to hit their bottom. And for everybody, it could be something different, right? But for me, it was the affair I had in 2004, right? That affair was the thing that absolutely wrecked me spiritually and emotionally.
Hmm.
It was just like, okay, that's it, right? And then for the next year, we started our own counseling,
Hmm.
one on one, and then we counseled together. But we were still drinking and partying a little bit, but not like we had done previously.
Right.
But we had a lot to work on. And when you talk about perseverance, our marriage is a perfect story of perseverance,
I would
right?
say we have persevered from the very beginning.
From the very beginning, right? Perseverance means, okay, the definition of perseverance is persistence in doing something despite difficulty or delay in achieving success.
That's really good.
Okay. It is persistence in doing something despite difficulty or delay in achieving success.
Mm,
Now, I know it had to be difficult for Kathy
yeah.
after the affair, right?
Oh, yeah.
And we're going to get into First Corinthians here in just a minute. But I know for me, it's like I can remember sitting in therapy going, is this really true? Is Kathy really going to stay with me? I was always waiting for the other shoe to drop.
Somebody
I,
to leave and somebody to abandon you.
right, exactly. And
Mm,
I would tell my therapist, Deborah, who was an absolute, I mean, she was godsend. She was phenomenal for both of us, right? That when is she, when am I going to come home if she's not going to be there? I mean, why is she still with me after what I've done to her, right? And it took me a long time to understand that. Um, but it only happened because number one, I didn't come back home and blame everything on her.
mhm.
Well, if you wouldn't have done this, if you wouldn't
Yeah,
have done
you
that,
were
yeah,
totally accountable
I
to
was
your actions.
100%. I was 100% accountable for my actions and my behavior.
And can I just say something? Because of your being accountable to your actions and your behavior, it almost, I think about it now, it gave me like a soft landing to look at myself too.
Right.
And I know because sometimes I could have said, oh no, he did it. It's all him. But I had a part in it, but it allowed me to open myself up a little bit to say, okay, he is repenting. He feels bad. He's carrying guilt. He's
Hmm.
carrying shame over all of that. I need to look at myself as well. And I think that was
And
the key
why?
to seeing you being a lot of things that I've done, I've followed in your footsteps.
Right.
You've made it easy for
You've
me.
watched my actions, not
Yeah.
listen. Not, and I think also I can remember when Deborah looked at you and said, "Kathy, it's not all Randy's fault. You
Mm,
got a part in this,
yeah.
right?" And that's I've got to admit on this side that had to be hard for Kathy to accept.
Hmm.
Okay, it had to be hard for Kathy to accept. So, Kathy and I believe, when we were told this by another therapist that I saw for one day, that we've dealt with, and these are his words, we've dealt with a lot of marriages and infidelity in this office.
Hmm.
And the ones that make it, and the only ones that make it, are the ones where both husband and wife want the marriage to work,
Right.
okay? And they both want to do the work that's necessary
And that's that
for that to happen.
persistence in dealing with something that's just despite its difficulty.
Right.
It's the same perseverance right there.
Exactly. And it is difficult. And then I want to say this too. This is really important. And all part of perseverance, right? You know, I can remember Deborah telling me one day, Randy, and Kathy's right there, so she it loaded up her guns for her. But if Kathy ever needs to talk about this affair, right? You did it. You caused her pain. You must listen to her.
Yeah.
And your only response is, I'm so sorry I did that. You have a right to feel the way you feel. I understand why you feel the way you feel.
Yeah.
And just know that I'm working on being a better person.
Yeah.
Right? Men, you know, sometimes we hear men saying, well, my wife's always nagging at me. Well, there's probably a reason for it. And it's probably because you don't sit down and listen to your wife or significant other about what's really going on in her life. And so you're not hearing her, you're not hearing her pain. If I wanted to hear Kathy's pain, if I want to sit there and said, and it hurt, it stung, it was hard for me to listen to, right? But if I wouldn't have, we probably wouldn't be married right now. She would have been at me all since 2004, 19 years ago, right? 19 years ago, not one mention of that affair has come up.
Right.
Not been thrown on my face.
But I'm not going to let the ladies off that easy.
No, go ahead.
Okay, so ladies, part of what I've dealt with in my frustration and where a lot of my resentments and anger was developed was the fact that I didn't use my voice. I didn't speak my truth. I didn't even really know what my needs were. So sometimes if I came across as a nagging wife, it's because I was trying to flounder my way through what my needs were. And so I think that's one of the things I discovered on my journey is to really identify what my needs are in the marriage and then be able to verbalize them coming from a place of love, understanding, knowing that he's not going to always meet all my needs, but if I could share what they are and he can meet some of them or meet me halfway, that's going to make our marriage a lot easier. And I've gotten so much better at that. But I know that during this time, when we were in this dark space in our marriage, I didn't have that ability. But it wasn't until I was able to get in my own recovery journey, look at my own self, look at my codependency, and realize that, you know, I'm asking for things that I don't even know what I'm asking for because I don't know if it's a need or a want. So there's a lot to that. But I think, ladies, we have to be able to identify our needs in the marriage, and we have to be able to use our voice to speak those needs out.
And husbands, if you know, if you feel like your wives are nagging at you, there's a really good reason that's happening. And so I would encourage you to think about this conversation. I would encourage you to say, hey, maybe she's nagging at me because I'm not listening to her needs. Right? And sit down and have a conversation with her.
Those curious questions going.
Curious question, absolutely. You know, you want to be able to listen with curiosity to your spouse, right? And then ask, don't tell, don't accuse, not accusational questions. Then ask very curious questions. Okay, that's how you'll get to it.
It could be like something something as simple as, I've noticed that you seem to be a little edgy. Is there anything I can do to help you with that?
Right.
Because a lot of times I might be edgy and has nothing to do with him, but just him bringing that to my attention makes me realize that I'm spreading my edginess in places it doesn't belong.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, exactly. Because we never know what our partner's going through that day. And a lot of times I think what we want to do as spouses is we want to, well, what do I do now? Now she's all pissed off at me. I
want to give you a shot, make you feel better.
Yeah, I mean, but you know, it's like, you know, what did she do? You know, what did I do now? How come she's not talking to me?
Yeah.
Where, you know, it has nothing to do with you.
Right.
You know, that's the
just
deal.
Being open to sit down and have those curious conversations.
If you want your marriage to last, you got to have open and honest conversations with your spouse. And you have to be, if you're a man, if you want to be a real man, you have to sit down and listen to what your wife's telling them.
You may not like it all.
No, I didn't like it.
And that's okay. You don't have to.
No, neither one of us.
You just have to be available to have listening ears to hear.
Ephesians 5:25 says, husbands, love your wife as Christ loved the church. And Christ gave up his life for the church.
Yep.
Okay, it's that simple. And if you want your wife to be obedient, but not in the obedience you think you can just tell her and own her what she does, if you want her to walk side by side with you, right? If you practice Ephesians 5:25 and be consistent at it over some time, she'll start loving you
Yeah.
in a way you never thought she could. I promise you that. But we're called to love our wives as Christ loved the church, and we're called to die for our wives daily,
Mm-hmm.
daily.
That's
You know?
that's been a huge shift in how I feel about you, how I want to do things for you, be part of, being a good, healthy
Right,
wife for you.
right.
And it's been a huge thing.
And then I think I'll just one more thing on that is like, for example, right, of that death, that
Mm,
dying daily,
mhm.
right? I hunt and fish a lot, right? And Kathy, when I want to go, Kathy says, have fun. She knows that I need to be outdoors
And
with
I
other
want my
people.
time. Honestly, I want
Exactly.
time too.
But, right, the time that comes up where, and it doesn't happen a lot, but
Yeah.
she says, hey, I come home and say, hey, babe, I want to go fishing down off off of San Diego this weekend. I give her a date, right? And all the guys are getting together. It's going to be a fun trip. The fish are really biting hot right now. And she goes, oh,
Mm.
wait a minute. Hey, we're supposed to go down to our granddaughter's dance recital that weekend. Oh man, yeah, but I really want to go fishing, babe. Come on, this is a big trip with all my boys, right?
Your boys.
Well, my boys, he goes, but Randy, your granddaughter's going to be very disappointed if you don't show up. I'm like, okay, I'll be there for you, and I'm going to be there for my granddaughters because you you let me go whenever I want to
Yeah.
go. So this one time I'm gonna have to
There's your
sacrifice.
dying to self
I'm
moment.
dying to self. It's that simple. So one of the things that's really going to help with a marriage, with a perseverance and marriage is if you read 1 Corinthians 13, 4-8, right? And here's the deal. There's some pretty powerful things in here,
Mhm.
right? And again, if you want to stay married for a long time, you got to understand, Kathy and I have been married for 40 years, the upcoming August, right? It's not a cakewalk. I mean, the only thing Jesus promises us in the Bible is we're going to have trials and
Yeah.
tribulations, and that's throughout our life.
There's
Where there's
mountains and valleys and
absolute,
hills and
and so it's like,
roller
okay,
coasters.
what happens is 50% of the marriages fail, and what the statistics are saying now is the women are the ones that are filing for the divorce. But why are they failing? When you get in a marriage, we think it's going to be all rainbows and unicorns and bubbles blowing everywhere, sparkles and everything. Yeah, and it is that for a while. I mean, there's no doubt. But then life settles in, and then you're both working, and work stuff comes up, and then you
And
have
raising a family,
kids, and
yeah.
you're raising a family, and all of a sudden the attention goes from each other, it goes to the family, right? There's so much that goes on within a marriage. But that doesn't mean that we don't love each other, that we still
Yeah.
don't love each other. It means that we're taking care of priorities in our life. Our number one priority in our life has always been family.
Yeah.
I ran a business for 20 years. My kids took my kids took priority over that business, and the business was very successful. So when you look at 1 Corinthians 13, 4-8, this is what love is. We could all practice this within our families, with our kids. Oh, I got to pull it. With our kids, with our wives, with our dogs. I mean, excuse me. We could get these in the spirit of our soul and practice them to the best of our ability, knowing that we're not perfect, knowing that we're going to trip once in a while. But when we trip, we're going to get up. Okay. We'll develop a relationship with our kids and our spouses that will be unbelievable. And it's this, right? 1 Corinthians 13, 4-8. Love is patient, perseverance, right? Love is kind. It does not envy. Kathy, for the most part, for I would say 2/3 of our marriage, has made much more money than I've made, even having a business. She was an escrow officer, made much more money. Didn't matter. We don't even look at that. She never held that over my head. I wasn't envious of it at all. It does not boast. It is not proud. It does not dishonor others. So we're not going to be dishonoring our kids or our wives or anybody for that matter, right? Because God calls us to do one thing in life, to love each other. That's it.
That's right.
That's, I mean, it doesn't mean we have to like them, but we have to love them, right? And this is what love is. It is not self-seeking, not self-glorifying, right? It is not easily angered. And I tell you what, I was raised by a stepfather that at the drop of a pen, and he was a Christian, anger was not even that was too light of a word for him. It keeps no record of wrong. And to me, out of all these, keeps no record of wrongs is the most important one that there is, right? What good does it do to bring up the past? It's done. It's over with. You cannot change it, right? I mean, in all of our marriage, Cathy and I have never brought up anything from the past.
Right.
And you take into the affair I had in 2004, not once. But again, it's because we have been able to talk and been very open.
Well, we worked through it,
right.
Definitely.
Okay. It keeps on record of wrong. Love does not delight in evil, but rejoices with the truth. It always protects. Always protects. I'm always want to protect my wife and my kids. Always. Right? Always trust, always hopes, always perseveres. Love always will persevere.
Yeah.
But remember, it takes time, and love never fails.
That's good.
So that's what love is about.
Yeah.
And it's spelled right, you know, if you're it doesn't get any better than that right there.
No, and I think for me, that's one of my favorite scriptures. In fact, in our life group, all of our couples gave us a gift, and that was my scripture that they had asked what my favorite scripture was, and they had this scripture made on a tea tray. And so it's always with me. And I was curious, though, I just wanted to do some more little research, not just listening to the word of God, but to actually understand what Paul's saying. And I found this where it talks about love is described in 1 Corinthians 13 is best understood as a way of life, lived in the imitation of Jesus Christ. And we've always said all we're supposed to do is love. So if we're living in the imitation of Christ, we should be living in love daily. And that is the focus, not on oneself, but the other and his or her good. Love is about action. And we talk about this. It's an action step. How a person lives for the Lord and obeys him, and how a person lives for others and serves them. I think that's a beauty in that, is that, it says that we are to love one another as our neighbor, as well in the Bible. And so knowing that, we're here to serve, to love and obey the Lord,
right,
just as much as we're here to love others and serve others.
exactly.
And so if we can do that from a healthy place, I know my life has been better as a result of that.
No, absolutely. And again, we're humans, so we're not perfect.
No,
and
absolutely.
in no ways are we going to be perfect like that. We can strive for it.
Yeah.
I mean, but when we fall, we fall. And it's just a matter. I mean, the Bible says you're going to fall 7 times, get up 7 times. I mean, that's not how many times you fall, it's how many times you get up.
And I think that, saying that reminds me of, what helped us in persevering in our marriage. And a lot of it was, first of all, realizing that we needed help.
Yeah,
was
absolutely.
The first thing.
Yeah.
And then being open and willing to get the help through a therapist. That's where we started. Randy got on his journey of recovery, which shifted things drastically. But then it was like, okay, now what? What do we do? We didn't know where this recovery was going to go. And it went down a great road. We've met a lot of people. We learned.
It changed our lives.
Yeah, we learned the necessity of accountability with others, with the sponsor-sponsee relationships. And then for us, that led us to church. And in our 40 years of marriage, we did not, up until 11 years ago now, 2012, we did not attend a church unless it was a wedding or a funeral. And our kids didn't either. But those are the steps we had to take to continue in
right.
persevering through our marriage. And each one of those steps led to another step. And through our church, we've got an amazing church family. Um, we were able to mentor others. And in that process of mentoring others, we're still mentoring ourselves,
Right,
because
right.
we're just sharing our experience, strength, and hope, and what got us to where we are with others. And now it's beautiful. It's a beautiful thing to see these young couples starting to do the same thing in their own
And
churches.
and then calling us going, "Hey, we're
Mm,
struggling with this, and this
yeah,
is happening, and we don't," all the struggles that we went through,
right.
right? Well, so on that part, okay, a couple things, and I'm gonna back this up biblically, right? You cannot transmit something you don't have. So
Yeah,
fortunately, all of our couples are quite capable of leading small groups, couples groups, whatever they desire. They're quite capable
yeah.
and quite ready for that. But you cannot transmit something you don't got. In Hebrews 2:18, it says, because he suffered, Jesus, because he suffered when he was tempted, he can help others. He's able to help those that are tempted today. Okay,
That's all of us.
so it's biblical.
Yeah.
What you cannot transmit something you do not have. All right. So and that's the truth. Kathy and I would have no right helping anybody. And we honestly, we have been through, I know people have got their stories, and I'm not saying discounting anybody. I want you to understand that. We have gone through so much in our 40 years together
hmm
between me working through my
Abuse.
abuse issues, our marriage issues, our business issues, um, alcoholism, you name it. Right. Not only have we experienced all the negative sides of that, right?
Yeah.
This is the critical thing, because a lot of people, when we first start working, they want to help other people. Well, until you get
You got to
help,
heal
you
yourself
got
to
to
heal
heal
others,
yourself first.
to help heal others. Yeah.
Not only have we been through the negative part, but we've also been through the healing journey, and so many places, so many resources we've
Yeah.
had. So
No, it's great. So I guess that's the biggest thing, is I just want to, let people know that marriage is a journey. Persevering in your marriage is a journey.
yeah,
Don't do it alone. That's,
no,
we talk about community all the time. So that's my
it,
biggest thing, is have a community of like-minded people, somebody that's experienced what you've experienced, and journey with them.
and not only that, they're going to guide you
Mhm.
and tell you the hard truths.
Yeah.
They're not
And
gonna sit there, "That's all right, Kathy, you
no,
know what? He did it, you might as well just go have an affair too. I mean, what's the big
no,
deal?" I mean, there's so many people that and I personally know people that have done that, and a very good friend of mine in recovery did it because somebody else told him it was cool,
yeah.
and he died.
So we'll toot our own horn right here, because this is what we do for a living. Well, for a living,
Yeah,
we make a little money doing it, but not
yeah,
much. But if you are out there listening to this and your marriage is struggling, or maybe you're struggling as an
yeah,
individual, reach out to us at changeyourlifestorynow.com. There is a contact form there. Go ahead and put your information there. There's a little box to click on, and we'll set you up for a 30-minute free consultation.
now
Geez,
you're
Opie,
generous,
I
man.
am very
Keep doing
generous.
that.
I just want
30 minutes, just clarify that.
I just clarified that at 30 minutes, but I want people to get the healing they so desire and they so
Right.
deserve. So, but that's kind of our journey, and our journey has led us to the calling of helping others. Um, and this month, we're closing out the month with a call to action. We want you to tag a friend. If you are listening to this podcast on Spotify, or if you're not listening on Spotify, go over and listen on Spotify and check the following. We're looking to increase our following members. So please follow us on Spotify.
Follow us, like us, share, all that.
Yeah, and in all our social media, tag a friend, invite them to the podcast, let them know, what's going on. You never know just who you might be helping by tagging a friend. Um, and then my final pitch here is our foundation, which is the
Courageous you.
Courageous Healers Foundation. We are a nonprofit foundation that helps men, women, and families heal from the scars of abuse, trauma, marriage, any type of a struggle that's going on. We're here to help journey with you on that as well. And our donations that people make to that help offset the cost to a lot of these clients that have very little income. Maybe they don't have insurance, or maybe their insurance doesn't cover these types of things. And we offer our services for little to no cost to some of them, or most of them in this case, because healing is, it takes time, and we are, like I said, we've been called to help heal.
Mhm.
So all your donations can be done through healingcourageously.org,
Courageous.
courageoushealers.org. Sorry, I'm going backwards. Courageoushealers.org. You can make a one-time donation, you can make a monthly donation, any donation, no matter how little, $5, $100, $200, it doesn't really matter. If finances are not in your life right now, and that's totally understandable, we've all been there ourselves, please keep the foundation in your prayers. The more we have praying for us and the foundation and the people that need that, they will come. So thank you for that.
Yep.
You want to share about your books, don't you?
Yeah, might as well. First of all, we got Healing the Wounded Child Within. You know what? And I want to say something. Well, here's the book, right? Healing the Wounded Child Within, available on Amazon. It's Audible, Kindle, and on paper book. And before I go to the other one, those are all on Amazon, right? Is that I would say all of our marriage couples that we have mentored, right? There has been trauma and either one or childhood trauma in either one or both of their lives.
Yeah.
And that's been the root of their problem.
Yeah.
And it just comes out organically. We don't go tell them that it's all organic the way it happens.
Yeah.
So that's really important to know. Okay. And then also that Healing the Wounded Child Within is in Spanish. Are you going to try to say it?
Let me see here. Let's see if I can do this. Sanar las heridas del niño interior.
Oh, not bad. You said it quicker.
Okay.
So that's available on Amazon and paperback and Kindle. 7-day challenge. It's a workbook that goes with Healing the Wounded Child Within. Little book, not bad. On Amazon paperback.
But can't they, if they sign up?
No,
No,
not yet, not yet.
That's this one. Next month coming up.
Oh,
Ooh,
next month,
exciting.
that'll be one of them.
Okay.
And then also, if you got the 30-day devotional, the wholeness. It's a great 30-day devotional. It's got a great devotional, a couple scriptures, and 3 contemplative questions at the end of every devotional. If you go to Change Your Life Story Now and .com, fill out the contact information, click the little box that will allow us to put you on our mailing list. We're not going to inundate you with a whole bunch of stuff. I promise you that.
Yeah.
But you will get one of these. There should be a link. You'll get one of these books for free.
And a PDF.
It'll be a PDF form. You can download it on your computer. So you have it whenever you want it. Okay.
That's beautiful.
That's beautiful, right?
Awesome.
All right. So that closes out February, and next month is going to be, man, we got some stories for next month.
Yeah.
It's called March Miracles is coming up next month. Yeah. And we got some powerful stories coming up. There's one person. No, man, I just say there was one person. I'm not going to even tell him who it is or when it was, right? But man, I pre-interviewed him, and I walked out to my wife to ask her to come back in this room, and I had the God bumps. This guy's story was just phenomenal.
Yeah, so tune in March.
Yeah, tune in March. You're gonna hear some great miracles. Okay, and then they're not all these big old bush burning miracles, but they're miracles.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else?
No, I think
you sure?
Yeah,
I got it all.
You're
all right.
good.
All right. So nobody tells you they love you today. Remember that Randy does.
Cathy does.
More importantly,
God does.
God does. Be blessed,
Be blessed.
everybody. Have a great week.